It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week we're diving into some Star Wars rumors.
Rumor mill.
Rumor mill. Yeah, Star Wars, is it on a high? Are we on a high note in Star Wars right now? It ebbs and flows, right? So
cautiously optimistic.
Huh? Yeah. And Andor really turned the boat for the, I guess, three. Would that be the best of the three shows last year? Yeah, so
it's so good it can undo an entire film franchise worth of multi-billion-dollar movies.
Yeah. I mean, couple that with the Mandalorian, but Boba Fett was just kind of yeah. I didn't see a single grain of sand in that show, Mike. That's the best part. Moving on, the DCU is getting more gun projects. Pew pew pew. We're gonna talk about what that means. My favorite movie trailer of the week, Nic Cage turns into Dracula. It's also the only movie trailer of the week. No, there were two. We're not going to talk about the other, but there are two horror movie trailers this week and more.
Yes, Chris is quite the trooper. If you remember from last week, we said that he was running off to the fanciful world of Las Vegas, which is actually a little bit of a misnomer. I saw on a TikTok video on my feed the other day that technically where you went was not Vegas. You were technically in, I think it's called Paradise, Nevada or something like that.
The rules are different. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, because if they're associated with the city of Vegas, they have to pay taxes. So what we all know as Vegas in the Strip is technically Paradise, which I guess makes sense and is pretty funny. But anyway, you were in Vegas. You were on the show floor for the Consumer Electronics Show.
Yes.
And
I heard 3 days worth. Goddamn, I'll tell you.
Yes. Through the media and the grapevine that it was a big return for CES.
Yeah.
I guess the convention was kind of languishing a little bit before the pandemic. The pandemic shut it down, and now it's back in full force.
So this was a work trip, not a personal trip. So I will tell you, the first day I had to go to all the booths I wouldn't normally go to. There are. Shenzhen, China is where they make all the electronics, right? That's the big iPhone electronics factory of China. There's probably 50 plus booths with Shenzhen in the front of their names, and they sell they're the companies that make the wireless coils, right, in the wireless charger. They're not selling the charger, they're selling the coils, right? You partner with them pieces. So don't be fooled by the Sony stuff. That place that's another building. That's cool as hell. That's your Hall H of at CES, if you will. But there's a whole show floor of new products. Me and Mike were talking. There's home automation. There are faucets. There are smart toilets. You need to pee in them. It'll tell you how dehydrated you are, kind of thing. There's parts. There was a really cool robotics building this year, a whole floor dedicated to AI and robotics. And they were putting these robots in what are those big dump trucks that they're 3 stories tall, right? You see them on the big construction things, completely driven by AI. It is absolutely wild. But CES was fun, and there are some things show related. I will say, LG TVs, LG, not a brand I would think of normally, right? When I'm looking at TVs, their presence there was phenomenal. I think better than probably Samsung TVs, anyone else who makes TV presence. Hisense was pretty good too, but they're making cordless TVs. And this is the silly part because, when you think of cordless TV, what's the only cord in your TV right now, Mike? The required one is a
power
cord, right? Most people are just using the smart TV functions, right? At home, you're not plugging your Apple TV in to watch something. So these are living room TVs, but they've got it so they have a box that sits by the TV. You plug it into, and the only cord you have to run for the TV is the power cord now. Supposedly low latency. That was really cool. Transparent OLED TVs are really, really fun. You can see through them.
That's very futuristic.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, a bunch of gaming curve monitors. Sony, I tried really hard to get into the PlayStation VR 2 demo booths, but they were booked up instantly. I did get to see it. It looks really cool, but it still has that big nagging feature that I dislike, Mike, and that's the cord that runs down the back of your head to the the thing. Sony TVs were pretty fun. I'm actually, we've talked about this in my house. I have a projector on the ceiling. Big push for laser projectors, the ones that sit in front of the wall and project upwards. Huge cool stuff like that. I'm still going through I had to put a bunch of photos into a presentation for work before I got back, but like I'm going through, so I got all the fun ones. I met Gary Stern, and if I said Gary Stern, would you know who that is?
No, I would not.
The owner and creator of Stern Pinball, like the actual, like the physical pinball machines.
Oh my gosh, you must have been ecstatic.
I was like, I didn't know there was a guy behind this. Like he apparently makes them in Chicago. I didn't know that. So there's stuff for everybody there, and I'm gonna go through that. Yeah, and you've seen like the highlight updates. I haven't even got online yet to see the the panel coverage and presentations.
Yeah. It's funny, this is like the reverse of the times when I would go to San Diego Comic-Con and then you would be at home on your computer getting the nice digested content of videos and photographs. And this was like the flip side. Like I've seen like all of these like highlight reels for all of these little doodads and gadgets, and you're on the floor like sweating your ass off just trying to get around the convention center. I wanted to ask you, because I'm always interested in like vibe and scale of these things. So since you've been to San Diego Comic-Con now, you go to the convention center in Chicago every year, you've been to smaller cons, scale, size, and vibe wise, where does kind of like CES fit into that rank?
Absolutely. This is San Diego Comic-Con size, if not bigger. Now Comic-Con has a lot of what they call activations, right? Like outside booths and panels. And I sent you a picture. Google built a house outside. They had some of those here, but the size and scale, like this convention center is so big, there's a tunnel underneath the building where you get in a Tesla and it takes you from one end of a building to the other end of the building. But that's only it's only two buildings. There's another one in a hotel called the Venetian, which is one of the bigger show floors. So this is like 3 miles of show floor that we covered, and I will tell you, it is just it's way bigger than I think. I think it's bigger than San Diego from my memory. But Comic-Con is a niche audience, right? Electronics, this is worldwide. Like you said the day, this is bigger. This is pre-pandemic numbers of attendees here, and I think it's because of the I guess the opening up of travel from international countries, specifically the Asian countries. A lot of people, different cultures, a lot of people watching, not only because I'm in Vegas, but only because of the show. Like literally everybody from everywhere was there, and it was really cool. But I think it's bigger than CES, if I'm going to be completely honest. At the end of the day,
you mean bigger than Comic-Con?
Oh yeah, Comic-Con, yeah. So I'm gonna put this video. I took a video. LG has these. It was, I think, two, maybe 3 stories tall of curved TVs that was all built together. It was like maybe 100 feet wide, and you walk through the middle of them, but like just curved TVs showing videos all over the place. Did I send you the video of the curved TV? Maybe.
No, I saw a video of a wall that had like cutouts in it.
Yeah,
was all TVs.
Yeah, well, no, that's not that one. This one that's actually like on the floor, not hanging up in the air. You're gonna love it. But like it's just fantastic. And now I'm kind of looking up here. I got some articles pulled up here. Akara, Anchor, companies that are starting to get into like this technology has become cheaper over the past few years, right? Like I can only think of maybe people I grew up, like my town I grew up in, not having smart doorbells, right? Like a lot of people, like I believe you have one, I think. Yeah, your name. I don't know.
We got some smart devices up in here.
Yeah, so like everything's getting smarter and more affordable with the launch of Matter, and this isn't for the show, but you've heard of HomeKit, you've heard of Z-Wave, Zigbee, everything. This communication, everyone's been proprietary. They all reached an agreement. We're going to move towards a system called Matter, which makes things faster and work together for the first time ever. So like, I've complained to you. I had a Google Nest. I had stuff that works with Google, stuff that works with Amazon, stuff that works with Apple, and I had to build my own computer to make them talk. But now it just works out of the box like that, and I think that's going to be a big thing about seeing some of the stuff. A lot of the stuff you won't see in 3 to 5 years, but in consumer link. But it was really, really fun to be there, and I just love the experience. So I will 100% be posting the cool photos because I thought some of that stuff was just cool as hell. I even Yeah, I think I sent you the photo of the PlayStation 2 VRs. They were doing the Horizon Forbidden West demo. The controllers are really cool to see. You know, the curved ones that measure your fingers and everything. And the last thing before we'll jump into what you've been watching, glassesless 3D. James Cameron's dream was in monitors, and actually Microsoft had a laptop with glassesless 3D built into it. And
yeah, that's like wild to me, because the only time I've ever experienced something 3D that was glassesless, you know, just besides the, you know, the objects in front of me, like books and these things on
real
my desk,
life,
is like the Nintendo DS, which was a very specific screen, was very intelligently designed, because they knew it was a small screen, that they could predict the viewing angle for the most part, and then also the human holding it could also adjust it as well very easily.
It had the slider, and you could change it, you know, right, kind of right then and there. You could even turn it off if you wanted to, right? Like I have a 3DS, I always left it off. So how this works is there's literally two cameras inside the bezel of the monitor in the laptop. One, then they're scanning your eyes. So they're actually watching where your eyes are looking to create the two different views for each eye. So
that's wild.
And literally, like, these were demos, so you had to sit still and do the specific things, right? Because, you know, real world is different. Microsoft's laptop was not. You could do whatever you wanted with it. But, like, I don't see 3D, so for me, it was wild to experience this in the glassesless variety. I was like, oh, I'm getting a little motions, like I got motion sick real fast. But the laptop one was really cool because it wasn't moving very fast, and you know, I think they might have been playing like Fable or some sort of video game on it, even, which was really fun. So I was very impressed to see two working examples of that technology in there. And then the last thing actually is related to the show. They had a knock at the cabin experience on the show floor with Hisense. Oh, so they actually built the cabin.
Dave Bautista.
Yeah, he's so mad about being Drax that he's decided to go be in horror movies. No, but like that line for that was huge, so I didn't get to go in it. But it was really cool to see the cabin there, right, with like the sign, and like they were like, "Hey, we want you to see this." So like when you walk in, I could see through the they had like big panels to make it look like there's like more in the cabin than there really is. So very cool. CES is my jam. That's my hobbies. That's where, you know, I geek out over tech. Mike, you know this, right? Like, I mean, I brought my Steam Deck with me on the plane. I was very excited to see Steam Deck tech make it in there. The biggest thing I will say, and this is finally the last thing, what I saw more than anything else on the show floor are smaller companies building speakers with LED lights in them. Like, you know, like you go and buy like a speaker with LED lights. Like they have the ones that are like, oh, this is for your backyard, and it's like 3 foot tall. Hundreds of booths making and selling these, like of all shapes and sizes. And that became the running joke with my coworker. I'm like, here's an idea. Why don't we put lights in the speakers? He's like, I've never seen that before.
Hey, the people are starting to come back together after this pandemic, right? And they want to party, so they need a speaker, and they need lights to encourage them to dance.
Exactly.
So this makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and I think it's what has to come down, like when patents expire, everything can be made cheaper, right? So I think the LEDs and speaker patents expired finally, and everyone's like, I'm making those.
Oh, yeah, that could be it.
Yeah. So anyway, CES, if anyone has any questions, want to talk, again, like I will be posting videos and photos of this because it was just wild to be there and you know, get the hype of a show floor. But you finally got to cut up on a movie I watched this last year when it came out, and that's Bullet Train. So you got to watch it. So I'm excited to kind of hear what you talk about this, because this is like one of those movies, quote unquote, with legs. It seems like everyone's finally catching up to it right now. Is it on streaming?
Yeah, I think it's because it landed on Netflix somewhat recently. I don't know if it's still in Netflix top 10, but I know for certain I've seen it in there at least once. Right, this is one of those movies that came out, I think, early summer. I feel like this definitely had like a June or July release date, right?
No, this was fall.
Oh, really?
Yep. Let me. I'm pulling it up here. Why does IMDb not tell me when it's released? I don't think. Anyway, keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, it was this film that had a huge movie star in it, Brad Pitt, right? A high concept action film, and if you dug a little bit deeper, you could see the director was the same director as Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2 and John. Yeah. The first John Wick and Deadpool 2. Yeah.
Yeah, so it had all of the right ingredients in it. It was an original idea. In quotes, I had no idea if this was adapted off of like a graphic novel or a short story or whatever. But for all intents and purposes, it seemed to be original.
It's a book. It's based on it's based on a book. Yeah.
Yeah, so a little breath of fresh air in the cinema when it comes to franchises.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is one of those where you see the trailer and you go, oh, I have to see this in theaters. This seems like a spectacle. But, of course, life gets in the way. Didn't see it in theaters. But got a chance to catch it on Netflix, and it was really, really fun. I would say the strongest part of this film is just Brad Pitt and his character in general. Mm-hmm. He's just like this really fun idea of like what if like a hitman like kind of was being a little bit more introspective, maybe wanted a change of life, but still have one job that they have to do.
He kind of reminds me of Samuel L. Jackson at the end of Pulp Fiction, right? When he's like, I would just shoot you, but I'm trying not to shoot you, right? It's like the whole time he's like, I'm trying not to be an assassin, even though that's my job, and talking it out with everybody.
Yeah, and it's just a really fun, unique character. This Guy Ritchie film, right?
Not
Guy Ritchie.
David Lynch, but it feels like a Guy Ritchie film.
Yeah. It definitely does, which is funny because I have another film to talk about with Guy Ritchie involved. Yeah. But yeah, it was just a fun movie. Yeah. It's about 2 hours long. It'll 100% keep your attention. Mm-hmm. I would say the only flaws that it may have is sometimes it's a little too slick. It's a little too into itself, I guess, is just a weird way to describe it. I'm kind of like a stickler. I have like a pet peeve for when filmmakers put text on the screen. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking like necessarily when you change locations or you're showing the time, but like, every time a new character is introduced, bam, freeze frame, like splash screen, like the man or something like that. It's like, I don't need the help, I can see.
Yeah. Well, I think to me, it's the style, right? Like that's literally what Guy Ritchie did, like, in his old, like Lock, Stock and, Snatch. Like that's what he would do with those, like highlight them. To me, I would say my, number one, I love Bad Bunny in this. As the assassin. Yeah. So like whenever we were talking about him being El Muerto, I'm like, I can see this. Like he's got that intensity in his face, but like you're not taking him seriously. Like he's a fun intensity.
He does have quite a presence, and I would say I was having such a good time that by the time you get to the third act, kind of like spectacle, the CG completely falls apart, and it kind of goes back in time a decade. But I was just like, I'm still having a good time. Yeah, I'm seeing, our character like kind of like walk away in the sunset, and I can 100% tell they're just, in a warehouse in front of a blue screen. Yeah. But, overall, it was still a good time. And if the price of admission is just your Netflix subscription, this is an easy recommendation.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree with that. Like when I caught it came out in August, by the way. Like late summer, early fall. Summer, but I agree. To me, I think my biggest complaint would be that there's too many characters. Like I'm looking at the poster here, it looks like there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 main character like in this. I'm like, that's a lot of people to like keep track of in this sometimes. And I was like, so like by the end, like you're meeting more and more, and like, okay, are we done introducing characters at the end of the movie? But
I shouldn't forget Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yep.
As you may know as Quicksilver from Age of Ultron.
Yeah, Kraven the Hunter.
Kraven the Hunter, yeah.
And Kick-Ass.
He is phenomenal in this movie. Like, he looks slick. He makes me want to grow a mustache. Yeah. And he's, like, not necessarily being a comedic role, but, like, just the way he's, like, delivering his performance is just, it's so infectious. So, like, yeah. There's tons of stuff to love in this movie.
And Brian Tyree Henry, his brother, was, in Eternals as Phastos. So those guys had great, chemistry between everybody. So absolutely agree with you on that one.
When it comes to the superhero franchises, we can always bring it back around.
Yeah.
But to keep it in the realm of Netflix, we finished watching the big hit series Wednesday from the Addams Family, I guess, franchise. And this was a fun watch. It was a quick binge for us, just on the couch over New Year's weekend. This squarely falls into the realm of like Riverdale style fandom. It very much leans into the teenage drama. So if that's your thing, if that's something that you can get into, which me and my wife often do, this is an easy recommendation. The best part of this show, though, is your protagonist, Wednesday Addams. She's just like so she's just so checked out. She's so she's just so maligned to everything in life that like the way she reacts to situations is just so fun, right? Because if you take kind of like your normal protagonist and you put them in certain situations, it can kind of be predictable how they'll react, and it's more of a question of just like, oh, I wonder how they'll get out of this one. I know how they'll feel, but how will they weasel their way out of it? With Wednesday Addams, you'll, for example, kidnap her, and she's not scared at all. She'll actually criticize you for not doing a very good job kidnapping her, and then she'll say you're giving kidnappers a bad name. And then she'll also just enjoy the torture in a way, too. So it's fun. It's almost like she has like a superpower in a way of like there's no way that you can like really scare her or knock her off her game. And then it's weird. This whole show is like written and directed. Well, I don't know written, but it's definitely directed and created by Tim Burton. But I feel like he almost kind of like dials the Tim Burton-esque-ness like back a little bit. So really you get a lot of his flavor and touch when it kind of just comes to the world in general. So some fanciful things that kind of really don't make sense in the basis of reality will happen, but then you have to kind of remember like, oh well, this is the Addams Family, it's kind of based in a cartoony sense anyway, and then you have Tim Burton at it, so
let me go ahead,
filters running.
Let me go ahead and play back. Tim Burton did nothing with this other than EP it. This is by the guys who did Smallville. I thought you were going to bring that up. Go and Miller were the guys who created and like wrote this show, and they did all the Smallville stuff.
Well, is it just Tim Burton doing his normal,
just EP,
taking credit for something he didn't really do?
Yep. He brought the was it the Addams Family back into like the zeitgeist. Did he do the movies right? From like the 80s or 90s?
No, he didn't do those. I mean, well, so this is a little bit of a different. So when you look at like executive producer from like a film perspective, you can kind of assume that maybe they were just there in name only, but EP on a series can be a little different. He could have been more involved, but
there's like 20 EPs. I mean, to me, again, I know his name was like Tim Burton Productions Company or whatever, but like, Go and Miller were the big dudes in this, like the Smallville. So when you mentioned teen drama, I thought that's what you were going to get to, because I know you watched a lot of Smallville.
Well, I'll correct myself, and that makes sense. Maybe why it doesn't have a lot of those Tim Burtonisms. Oh yeah, I'm looking at the poster right now. It says "From the Imagination of Tim Burton." Man, he's just been laundering his name for his entire career, hasn't he? But anyway, it's a fun show. The murder mystery kind of that weaves its way through the season can be a little predictable at times, but overall it's fun. But if you are a person sitting there right now listening, and then you're just kind of like not into teenage like dramas, you don't really get whipped up in a lot of that type of thing, I could see this show not working for you. But I had fun, and it was just renewed for a second season, unsurprisingly. I mean, this thing has been in like the top 3 for Netflix for like weeks straight. Everyone's talking about it, raving about it.
Probably cheaper to make than the Sandman, so that's why it got a little quicker. Yeah,
it's basically just one set, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the set is just, they do the wide establishing shot, and it's just a 3D landscape bolted on the back of like an old Gothic church or whatever, right? So it was great. So give Wednesday a watch. And then this last one here is a little ironic, considering what did I say last week on the show? A little harsh about Henry Cavill. I was tired of looking at his face.
And then you watched a movie with him in it.
Yes, apologies, but I did watch The Man from U.N.C.L.E, which was on HBO Max.
The other part of this is it's a co-starring Armie Hammer, who was blacklisted from Hollywood for his being a cannibal and harassing women over that stuff. So
one day I might actually look into the Armie Hammer drama, but this is the first time I think I'd really seen Armie Hammer in a movie in a long time, and then alongside of this man that I was just saying I was tired of hearing about in the press. But The Man from U.N.C.L.E is fun. This is a really fun movie. I didn't know it was based on like a
TV show,
1960s TV show.
So,
but it's just great, and it's like I feel like Guy Ritchie at his best, where everything's like working, all of his fun quips and like buddy copness is just really firing correctly on all cylinders. Sometimes I feel like I'll watch a Guy Ritchie movie and I'll just be like, this is just a little. It's
samey. This is like the least samey of his films for a while, right? Because I watched this when this came out. This was 7-8 years ago now, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
I saw it at the drive-in. I saw this at a drive-in theater, and it was really cool to see it because this kind of to me led what's his name, the actor we just talked about here, Henry Cavill, to get his Mission Impossible role, because like show that he can do like the spy stuff, right? Like he could easily be the spy. Now is he the American spy?
Yeah, he's the thief turned CIA agent, and Armie Hammer is the Russian KGB agent, and the buddy copness between them is great. And then you have the third American spy female protagonist in between them the whole time. And it's just great. It's a fun time. I love the 1960s aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
It's so much easier to make like action thriller spy stuff when you can downgrade the technology because it's just more physical, more manual. If you want to stop a tracer, you throw it in a cup of coffee or you stomp on it. Whereas like now, the drone's following you around, right? Unless you have a rocket launcher, right?
Yeah.
you're not losing that tail. So yeah, it was a fun movie, easy to recommend, and it's sad because at the very end they set it up for like a sequel franchise, and it just never comes. I don't know if that's because of Armie Hammer or if it was like poor box office returns, but this was fun. Man from U.N.C.L.E. was great. Go give it a watch.
Yeah, I think it didn't do very well. I think at the box office, I think he's like just pulling up here, worldwide total of 110 million on a budget of 75. So it didn't really make a lot, but I agree it was a good time, right? Like it's nothing I regret watching. I don't remember a lot of it, after 7 years, but it was very like to me spy versus spy kind of thing, right? Like they were always trying to get at each other the whole time. So yeah,
I don't think the title helped. I understand that it's a pre-existing franchise, right? But the people out there in the world that know the reference is not going to be the lion's share of your box office, right? So I feel like it almost would have been better even to like Zuckerberg it a little bit and maybe just call it Uncle and maybe remove the periods from the acronym. Maybe that would be a little like spicier and digestible.
They don't even call it Uncle until the end, right? Don't they create the organization?
Exactly. Yeah, and I don't even know what it stands for. I don't know, I don't understand what the acronym. I'm sure you can break it down to fun spy words, right? But like, I don't know what it means. It was just, it was like the last thing said before.
United Network Command for Law and Enforcement. So someone literally took Uncle and then backfilled it.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe this could be a franchise that could be reignited like on a streaming service. I could see Amazon Prime trying to turn this into a streaming series.
Yeah.
They're always into that.
John Krasinski's spy show just ended, right? Wasn't that the last season of? Not his isn't Jack Reacher. His is Jack Ryan, or whatever.
Yeah, what was it? Oh, I'll have to catch up on that. We've seen the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, the third one dropped. I think it's the last one. I could be wrong, but Amazon's always throwing money at something unique. So
Warhammer next for Henry Cavill. Yeah. But 3 easy recommendations. All you need is Netflix and HBO Max, and you can recreate my week last week, which was Bullet Train Wednesday and Man from U.N.C.L.E.
There you go.
Give them a watch. Easy recommendations. Yeah. Chris says, buy your next plane ticket, head to Vegas. And I know the convention's not there anymore, but I'm sure there's stuff you can do.
Yeah, it's my feet were so sore by the end of this, so I didn't get to go out and do much. I did eat in different. Like I tried like they had the different country kind of things there. So like we went to like quote unquote New York and stuff like that. But yeah, Vegas is different. Anyway, let's jump into news because that's what we're here for. News for 30 minutes in the show. So first and foremost, it's a short week, right? Not a lot going on, but Avatar: The Way of Water it is broken even this week, is what we've been told from the box office. We'll be breaking soon based on James Cameron. So that means that he's going to have to make those sequels, Mike. We're going to get the other ones.
It's been wild to see James Cameron so transparent about financials, right? You never see this from directors, right? I know The Rock was kind of talking a little bit about the performance of Black Adam, but that was almost like he had to prove that he was like still tough in a way. So I would say that's an outlier. You never see directors like out in front talking about the performance of their movie. Like they'll bring up maybe abstract things like, oh, we're doing well, or we broke, so-and-so record or whatever, but James Cameron's like, no, my movie's not even out, but I'm telling you I have to reach X in order to do Y, and I'll let you know when we get there. So I kind of like the transparency that he's just like, oh yeah, don't remember everybody. This is art, but it's also a business, so I don't get to make more art unless the business goes well.
Mm-hmm. So it is now the 7th highest grossing movie ever. It's good for its outperforming projections. The biggest thing I would say for this movie is, and if you look it up, Mike, a large chunk of this is the China box office, which is twice the gross of like most other countries. I think maybe not us,
not surprising either.
Yeah.
I think we kind of all expected that a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like the first movie in a while to get released over there. So, I don't know. Again, no competition coming up, right? I don't think the movie Megan did any dent against this weekend.
Probably not, but I did see Megan did do well for itself.
Yeah.
So a good performance for Blumhouse on that. But yeah, it's not cutting into Avatar all that much,
Yeah. So yeah, it's still going. It's out there, and more article, as Avatar, keeps getting to be taking all the headlines. A lot of people are still rumor like, oh, the next movie is going to be about a Fire Nation kind of thing, or like Fire Navi or something like that. So if anything comes out of this truthfully, we will let you guys know. But I'm very interested to hear. I guess they kind of say a release date sooner or later, right? They're gonna be like, hey, we're gonna actually give you a hard line in the sand for the next movie for this, because all these producers, all the people making money on this, gotta be thrilled. They gotta be so happy right now. Starting the new year off with like this movie's like the biggest movie of 2022, topping Top Gun even. So
yeah, and of course you got to think that also with this franchise, like count the merchandise sales, all of the additional things that go with it. I'm sure it's going to have a really big splash on Disney Plus too.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a lot of like the casual people out there that don't want to get to the theater that are like, yeah, I'll reignite my Disney Plus subscription so I can watch the new Avatar movie. So,
is Avatar 1 on Disney Plus? I think we looked this up the other day.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's where I rewatched it. Was on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, it is on there. So yeah, they'll probably do this. This probably won't be a 45-day window, Mike. This will probably be. They're gonna milk this one for a while before it hits there. But I still want the 4K re-release of the original. I want to see that. Let's see that re-release of the original. Moving on to other things that are on Disney Plus, Star Wars movies. If you want to go watch Star Wars movies, the classic ones, the newer ones, the ones that from the 2000s that don't look bad now in hindsight because we got worse ones later. They're on there. But the biggest rumor this week, Damon Lindelof is working on a Star Wars film, and his is apparently the closest to launching and could be in pre-production now for an April actual production launch, which is wild.
Yeah, this is strange. So before we even get to like the rumor swirling this in general, I would say I'm curious what the strategy here is. We got a lot of filmmakers out there in the world floating with these potential Star Wars movies, right? We got Patty Jenkins, Damon Lindelof, Taika Waititi. As Kevin Feige's movie still kind of in the works, possibly.
Yeah, no one has been taken off the list, and honestly, we thought Patty Jenkins was, but that movie was put back on there with her most recent announcement, even. Right?
Yeah. So and then we got Rian Johnson as well.
His trilogy. Yep.
Yeah, so that's like 5 potential filmmakers. Like, I'm just curious how this all coalesced, right? Because the single biggest flaw in the recent trilogy that there was no advanced forethought. No one knew where it was going to go or how it should connect, right?
They knew they were doing 3, but they didn't have a game plan for all 3 when they said that, and that really came out, and showed at the end of the day.
Exactly. So are they just going to approach like kind of a Disney Plus strategy, but just a big screen release where it's like, just make whatever you want in whatever timeline, whatever you feel like works? Will make it. I guess go ahead and do that if you want, but at least one of these filmmakers, please create me just a thoughtful trilogy of movies that I can stick myself to. So, we got a pretty good shot. 1 out of 5, one of them's got to nail it, right? I'm assuming Taika Waititi's movie is going to be funny.
Probably. Well, I guess the thing is, there's, the idea with Disney Plus is there's, and even, the popular Rogue One, right, Solo, there's spin-off movies they could do, right, that aren't mainline, moving the universe forward movies. And then this one seems to be the movie moving the universe forward is my concern. I think we both agree with, like, there's no plan. like what do you do after this? Are you doing a trilogy? Are you just gonna do one? Wait, another wait, because maybe time is the benefit for these movies.
If I was one of these filmmakers, I feel like I would want to stand out, and I would go so far back in time in Star Wars, and I'm not even super familiar with Knights of the Old Republic, but like go so far back, I want to see like the very first lightsaber invented. Yeah. Right, I think that would be fun. Like, who is the Jedi that kind of made the realization that to harness this into like a hilt?
Well, see, and that would be kind of where I would imagine if I was going to put you like the Kevin Feige trilogy would be, or Ryan, or not trilogy movie, or Rian Johnson's trilogy, right? Like maybe his trilogy is the tales of the original Jedi versus Sith, how it started, how it was created, why are they fighting, the light and the dark side, What happened there? Because I think if you try to do that in one movie, it might be a little fast. But like you said, you want to see the starts, right? The origins of everything, and none of that really affects the later movies. It like you don't have to end the movie with Anakin Skywalker being born from the Force, right? You're thousands, millions of years ago. But moving forward, the big rumor here, and this is what we were kind of talking about, is that this is going to be kind of focused on possibly a Finn, not focus movie, but he will be a main character in this. So taking, Rey, Finn, Poe, and moving forward. Now, we know the actor who played Finn, John Boyega, kind of wasn't happy with what they did with his character, right? And I would agree. Like, they really kind of teased him being like a Force-sensitive kind of stormtrooper.
He was rightfully salty after that trilogy concluded, and he was not quiet about it either. You can go out there and see interviews and his kind of general opinion of how he felt like his character was treated in Star Wars. I think he was maybe even like either retweeting or liking like fans like theories of what the character like should have done, or maybe one of those things where you're sharing like fan art of what the character should have been doing. So he left on a salty note. So maybe this is a possible way of just like, redemption, right? He's had a cool off period, let's bring the character back and give it kind of what it deserved, because Finn was a great character with a lot of nuance, right? I mean, really the most interesting backstory of becoming a stormtrooper and then, abandoning ship.
Well, they didn't even touch on his actual, like, he was kidnapped and that's all we knew, right? Like, what else was there? Like,
there's a lot to unpack there as well. How does that affect you as a person? But just not enough time spent in that trilogy and even concluding his story as well. But yeah, the more like we all know how I feel about the trilogy, but I feel like I have a new thing I don't like about the trilogy now, because when I was creating our image for this week's episode of the podcast, I had to go back and do some new trilogy research. Right, what do I want in this thumbnail? I'll get some pictures of John Boyega, throw some Rise of Skywalker stuff in here maybe, and then I came back to the Star Killer base, right? The Star Killer base that is the biggest Death Star that's ever existed. I saw a comparison photo, right, that puts like the Death Star 1 and the Death Star 2 next to the Star Killer base, and it's like literally like planet compared to moon, right?
Because so here's a fun fact. If for anyone who doesn't know or wants to know the history of Star Killer base, play The Last Jedi. I'm going to tell you that right now. I know you haven't finished it, Mike, but you will learn so much about Starkiller Base in The Last Jedi. Or not Last Jedi, The Fallen Order. Or what's that, Fallen Order? There's so many Star Wars properties.
Who can keep track of all?
What is that? The Star Wars game that is based on the Souls stuff. So yes, Fallen Order.
With the redheaded kid.
Yeah, with the Joker from Gotham. Yes. So that video game tells you about Starkiller Base, which is a planet.
Yeah, so inherently the existence of the Star Killer base is just not what's giving me ire, right?
Exactly, I know. I'm not saying that's a fun little fact, but yes.
Yeah, it's when I was looking up images of it, right? And it, its laser shoots off, and then it's destroying planets across the night sky, right? Mm-hmm. Like, just genocide, spectacular genocide up in the sky, exploding, and it doesn't even seem to really affect people throughout the trilogy, right? Yeah, it motivates them to, like, stop the Empire or whatever the hell they're called in this movie, right? But, like, nobody really seems to be calculating the catastrophic loss of life, right? Whereas, like, we had just watched Andor, right? Where if one old man dies in a prison cell, like these people are unchanged for the rest of their lives compared to like, you know, seeing planets explode. So it's just, I've never seen quite such a dichotomy there, right? With stakes and scale as compared to like, you know, Andor in a prison and then Star Killer base destroying half a solar system.
My again, I think this goes back to my initial issues with The Force Awakens is it's literally a retelling of A New Hope. So like, because we've seen a Death Star 1 and a Death Star 2, was this like, is this your big weapon for the first movie, or should they have saved, like, you know, nobody had a plan, right? We mentioned it. This planet, nobody had a plan of how they were going to go forward, and that's why, you know, the actual stakes were lost. So I agree entirely on that. But if we move this forward, I don't want another Empire or you know, First Order Empire Light, right? I think that's the problem, is it all feels samey, like it's cyclical. Everything's doing the same thing over and over again. So like, if we were going forward in Star Wars after all this stuff, like, you know, maybe focusing on the First Order, you know, they're gone. What does that even look like?
I feel like, I mean, even though it can go very wrong if you lean into kind of like the political side of things, you know, see the prequels, or it can go very right.
If the dialogue's good, it might work.
Yeah, the political intrigue in Andor is absolutely amazing, right? It seems like what makes the most sense is you got to look kind of like at this rebuilding phase, right? Mm-hmm. What's it look like when you try to construct, you know, a legal system or a democracy, right?
And do you
How
know,
do you rebuild it?
And do you know what show was doing that the best, or series of shows? That's Mandalorian. Mandalorian is literally focusing after the fall of the Empire, right? And like, they're like, oh, we have these new Rangers of the show that we're going to talk about being canceled here. And it's like Rangers of the New Republic. Like, they're trying to do X-wing stuff. Like, they're trying to police it. They can't do it. There's still mercenaries and bounty hunters out here. But like, you know, that's doing well. I agree. Take that to the movie level, right? Take that stuff, put it into a very, very high-end movie and start going forward.
Well, Finn was one of the characters explicitly affected by kind of like this gray area of war in that second film. What was Rian Johnson's movies called?
The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi, right? He was the one exposed to the fact that like there's this gray area of just like arms dealers that don't care who they sell to. It doesn't matter. They're just there.
He went to Vegas for part of that movie. Yes, exactly. It looked identical.
Yeah, so maybe that's John Boyega's thing to do. Like, he knows that there's still like scummy people out there in the world, whether or not, you know, the grand evil has been defeated. And
that's kind of again, not to liken again, but that's what Boba Fett was. There's a power vacuum, right, in the universe after, you know, the galaxy and the First Order. Like, I don't think it'll be some big corporate thing, but like, yeah, we need to find out what that power vacuum is and who's out there doing what. You could probably have Rey show up, you know, as a force wheeler, maybe even I don't know if Ahsoka's out there in that age range yet or not, but like we love lightsabers, but if we've learned anything lately, it doesn't all need to be lightsabers. Right, like it can actually be story focused in Star Wars land and be pretty good. At the end of the day.
Story in Star Wars?
Yeah,
Chris?
I know.
Heretic.
I know. Well, moving on. Let's talk about the other part of this. There is another Star Wars rumor going around that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are working on a new unannounced series out there. Now we know Rangers of the New Republic was taken off the release slate pretty quickly after it was announced due to the firing, or I guess leaving of Gina Carano, who's going to lead that. So they are supposedly working on this new one, and it is the code, and it goes under the code name Ghost Track 17. However, I don't know what the hell that means. No one does. So I was trying to figure that out. But like, my theory is that this show is the one that these are all coming together. Right? They mentioned that at all these Star Wars Celebration events, right? The Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka. What's the other ones? Whatever shows they're working on, they're all a skeleton crew. They're all supposed to be coming together and merging into like a big event kind of thing. I think this show might be the big event show that they're working on finally.
Yeah, this is probably the one that has Sun Young Lee in it. the guy from Kim's Convenience, and he's also going to be the Uncle Iroh in the Avatar live action.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. People, don't get your hopes up.
Yes, don't get it twisted. Legalese, copyrights, trademarks, whatever disclaimers you need to put out there in the world.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're working on a show, but like they have a gap open, right? Some budget free, so
maybe it'll be like a planet-wide thing, right? Scale it back from multiple planets and ecosystems. It seems like Mandalore.
It's Mandalore. My guess is it's all for the future of Mandalore will be decided by all these people.
And I think we're lucky in a sense where I feel like the only time we've really discussed or talked a lot about Mandalore was in the Clone Wars era, whether it was the cartoon or whatever, right? So theoretically, Mandalore maybe could be its own independent, successful, planet in the future of Star Wars, right? Theoretically, we could have Finn, or a future Star Wars property, or maybe, I guess, I hesitate to say current because like that doesn't really make any sense in a far away galaxy, right? But Mandalore could still persevere and be out there in the future and unaffected by everything else. So, I'm looking forward to see what happens on this planet.
Yeah, because Mandalore is currently like it was glassed at the end of the Clone Wars, like completely destroyed. So like, what's that look like after the Mandalorian show wraps up or gets to it can't be all about the Mandalorian Darksaber forever. So hopefully that does it. That reminds me, the Bad Batch season 2 is out. I was going to watch that if we recorded later, but I did not. So I'll come back to that next week. I woke up and I'm like, I can't watch this and record at the same time. But yeah, so Star Wars seems to be moving forward. Again, no official announcements. Is Star Wars Celebration every year? Someone's probably telling me through the show, like, yes, it is, Chris. You're an idiot. And it's every year. Let me see. Yep, 2023, Mike. It's in Europe. It's in Europe this year, so we can't go, but maybe next year. So we'll probably get some more stuff with that when it comes out. I'm trying to figure out the dates. Oh, April 7th, Mike. We are 3 months away from this. We're not too bad. We'll get some Star Wars information. Probably the announcement of this production kicking off at the same time. So for the movie, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. Guardians of the Galaxy. Dave Bautista, we've talked about this forever. He just doesn't, after, coming to, I think, a bigger success in movies with the first Guardians of the Galaxy, he's always been, like, very negative about the experience. And he's, like, finally out there again because he's got the Knock at the Cabin. He just came off the holiday special, which was a whole show about him, but he is apparently done playing Drax after Volume 3. It could be because he's in makeup all the time. He says the character's silly. He wants to be taken as a serious actor. With comparisons to The Rock lately, probably wouldn't feel good if I was him. But
well, I mean, I feel like most of the ire that maybe people remember or extrapolate from is when James Gunn was going through his very temporary cancellation phase over at Marvel, and Dave Bautista was an avid, staunch Gunn supporter and was saying, "Oh, I'm not going to be in these movies if he is not in charge." So that's probably maybe where a little of it started. I haven't really seen much of it on my end. But, I think just with any actor, you're not going to stay with a franchise, forever. And he's out there getting lots of different types of work, which I think is really, really cool. He'll play any type of character and any type of franchise. He's just down to have a good time and just play really interesting characters. But I think I'm just hard not to read the writing on the wall, right? That is Drax dying.
You wouldn't go out and say, I'm not playing him anymore if you weren't going to be like...
Yeah, and it's like we know canonically with his character, he has like no family. Like, he has no wife, no kids, even like the off joke of his cousin dying in the holiday special, right?
Yeah, so like, and that would probably be if I was to write a character off and give them a good send-off, right? Because, even if he doesn't like Drax and he's been in, the Avengers movies, he's been in all this stuff, would be to... If he dies, you get to see him end up with his wife and child in whatever afterlife they're going to show us in this movie, right? At the end of the day, like he gets to go off and be with him after everything for doing good in the world. Because when you meet him, he's just a big ball of anger. So I think that'd be a good way to do that.
Yeah, it could be something like that. But yeah, just like thematically, right, just makes the most sense. Now, it could be like a bait and switch, right? Maybe Gunn is like leaving red herrings through the entire movie and is almost making it obvious that Drax isn't going to make it out. And then at the very end, when you think he's going to die, he survives, but then comes to like a realization of, I'm going to retire, you know, I'm going to settle down. It was nice hanging out with you guys for a little while and saving the galaxy. So that could be a possibility. But yeah, after seeing that Gunn is okay with killing off characters, right, with Yondu, it would be hard pressed to not see a impactful death in this one. So signs keep pointing to Drax, unfortunately. So mentally prepare yourselves just in case.
Because I was looking. I'm looking at his interview here, and it was his Glass Onion interview. That's what it was. I was like, what was he in? He's been in a bunch of movies lately. So yeah, he just he doesn't want to be compared to The Rock, but The Rock. We don't have it in here, but this Black Adam thing is getting crazy. Did you see where like now The Rock's like he's like, I'm the one who you know, I'm the only person at the company who is okay with failing. And after he like talked a big game of like, no, we're successful the whole time. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing over there, man. He's really grasping for straws.
Oh boy.
Okay, an update on last week's news for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is not January 20th. That was rumored. It'll be on Disney Plus February 1st. So, kicking off Black History Month as well. So, makes sense.
That makes sense. We'll see if... I'm curious if there'll be any, like, extras dropped in that week. I'm not necessarily saying on the Wakanda Forever Disney Plus extras tab, but I feel like...
The assembled is usually...
It's streaming. Yeah, or there's, like, you know, YouTube... you know, featurettes that make it out there that give you a little bit more context.
Well,
so
this movie...
We'll let you know if anything like that.
I would not be surprised if this movie doesn't get a whole fucking, a behind the scenes, like a tribute to Chadwick Boseman and, you know, the journey to Wakanda Forever.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think, like, a couple featurettes are going to really cover it, you know, based on everything we know, but we'll keep you guys posted when that hits next month. The DCU. So apparently, James Gunn has announced he is writing an unannounced DC TV show. So we don't know what it is, the character is, but he is writing another TV show for DC. And I ask you, Mike, is he doing too much of of the production? Like, shouldn't you just be like giving it out to people? Like, hey, go do this for us.
I mean, I feel like if I was in his position, right, to be kind of, you know, half in charge of everything from a creative point of view, you might be in the perfect position where it's just like, oh, I can get stuff made that I want to see, and maybe I only have to write a little bit of it, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like if it's a TV show, I could easily see him writing a pilot of it, right? And then sending it off to, like, you know, an executive producer or like a showrunner, right?
Yeah.
Here, you make the rest of it. I did the pilot. You know, go ahead and run with it. We know he's writing a Superman movie. I could almost see that as just like, you know, maybe just a lifelong thing he's always wanted to do. He's finally in charge, so he gets to put himself in the position to write a Superman movie. So, but yeah, I don't think this is like a tenable thing to do, right? You know, I know Kevin Feige is only one person, but he's not out there writing anything, right?
Well,
theoretically, if there was two Feiges, would one of the Feiges have enough time to write stuff?
Well,
maybe.
But I think Feige knows what, you know, he knows what his job is and what he's doing. He's always been a producer. He's never been a writer. You know, James Gunn's a creative, and, you know, again, my thing is he does good stuff, but sometimes unchecked, it's not that good. So I'm like, you're in charge of the company, so of course you're going to greenlight your own shows, your own projects, rather than something else. So I'm just kind of, you know, I'm a little scared that you know you're doing that.
Isn't it interesting to see how just our feelings of James Gunn has just changed over the years? We really like the guy.
Nothing against him personally. Yeah,
he has creative potential that we love. He makes us hysterically, gutturally laugh with some of the stuff that he nails on the screen, right? He even knows how to play to the emotion drama of a scene, but every creative needs, like, I don't want to say a muse, but you do need somebody just overhead that can look at it from a different perspective of just like, okay, I think you're just a little into this scene a little too much. So maybe Safran will be the check and balance that we need.
Yeah.
But it's all going to be interpersonal relationships at that point in time, right? There's no probably like contractual line that says, oh, Safran has this many no's that he can say, and Gunn has this many no's that he can say, right? It's just all going to be how the vibes are going on. But yes, I agree with you, Chris. Unchecked Gunn, very similarly to unchecked Waititi, goes a little too far into the silliness for me. So if somebody over there at any of these studios can dial back some of the silliness and reconnect these creators to more of their humble roots, I would appreciate that.
And on top of that, we know he's already working on Peacemaker Season 2 as well, right? So, like, 2 shows and a movie while also overseeing the next 10 years of the DCU is, again... I just don't think. I think he should, like, that's we always talk about big companies buying things up and, like, or people taking jobs. He's like, just give the show to somebody else. Write the draft, work with them, and let them work on it while you go oversee the quality of everything else. Because it's crazy. But again, nothing bad against him. We talked about Peacemaker's a fun show, not a perfect show because there's some unchecked moments in there, but, like, still a good show. Right at the end of the day, we liked the Suicide Squad. Everything he does is not bad, but, like, red flags here and there. We've seen this with other things. So the other part of this is he mentioned that there will be a partial DCU slate reveal later this month. So we will finally get to know some of the first projects announced, right? Because they got to get those in production. We have 3 DC projects left this year: Shazam, Fury of the Gods, The Flash, and Aquaman. So after that, we don't know what's next. For the DC Connected Universe, will this reset it? Will this be, are these movies going to redo that? I don't know. I'm excited to see this.
We only have roughly 3, media weeks left in this month, so we'll be hearing about it soon. Quite possibly, maybe even next week. But
he might just get on Twitter and reveal it. You never know with this guy right now.
Could be.
For that. But one of the movies on this year is The Flash. We've talked about this. We've talked in depth. So many different writers, so many release dates. Ezra Miller in trouble the whole time. However, we're gonna flip that script and say Ezra Miller might have a future as Barry Allen still. Reports were earlier this week that the people in charge, executives, producers, whoever, are okay with him continuing because he checked himself into rehab after the 8th time he got in trouble, however many times he got in trouble, and hasn't caused any more trouble since then. So that's a positive, right? Like, he's seeking self-help, but I don't know about the
It's strange, right? Because this is one of those situations where we're just never going to know the full truth because it goes really into the personal well-being of a human, right? Ezra Miller's obviously done some, like, really wild stuff in the headlines, right? So how do you undo all of that? How do you make peace? How do you move forward with your career? I suppose this is a start. We haven't really talked about any crazy headlines from Ezra Miller since, I want to say, summer last year. So I don't know, is like 6 months enough of a trend that where you can project the future? I don't know. But it does make me think that maybe there is quite a lot happening in this Flash movie that they would like to keep moving forward.
I will say possibly, but the problem with this is everything in the DC has been overshadowed by James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over. So even if he was doing something in smaller headlines, this is what we've all been talking about, right? For a very long time. So I wanted to see good. I want to see them do good, but, like, is the Flash in James Gunn's plans, you think? Like, I think that's the question. Like, is his slate involve the Flash at all? And if so, is it Ezra Miller? Is it a Wally West? Who is it? What is it? Kind of fit in there.
Well, it's the DC universe. At some point in time, the slate is going to involve the Flash in some way, just like it would involve, like, Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman. So, this movie just needs to come out already. I just need to ingest it. We need to see the reaction of people out there in the world. The easiest thing to happen is if this movie is just absolutely bad, right? It could be a possibility. A lot of these DC movies have been.
Yeah.
It would be very, very easy to just write this off and not move forward. But if it's really good, it might be worth maybe putting up with a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm interested to watch this. I'm trying to find the link was taken down, by the way. But anyway, there's a fandom teaser that has been released in HD quality. I thought we already watched this fandom teaser. Like, were there secret fandom teasers for these movies? I don't know what this is.
Yeah, this kind of feels like maybe a clip that's like played in front of like an audience, like at Comic-Con or something like that. Yeah, I watched it and I had the same feeling of like, did I see this already?
Yeah.
Nothing really revealed. Like there wasn't any like footage or concept art that we haven't seen before. I think it was just kind of more of like the affect from the actors in the movie talking to the camera. Yeah. Where Ezra Miller was like, oh, there's so many Batman in this movie. It's crazy. And then there's kind of more hype talk of like, this is going to be the biggest thing to happen to the DC film universe yet.
Well,
which a lot has happened since that phrase was uttered. That's for sure.
I will say I'm so excited. Right? This is the return of Michael Keaton as Batman because Batwoman was canceled and like deleted from the universe. We have 2 Flashes and a Supergirl. Right, that they're going to take. We know Michael. They even say this way. Michael Shannon is in this, returning as Zod, the father of Supergirl. So like, there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff in here, and I'm very excited that Warner Brothers has decided to return to the Super Bowl next month and give us a trailer for it, like the first good trailer. I'm excited to see that. I want to hear that Danny Elfman score. I want to see From the Imagination of Tim Burton. Mike, I know we got to see that. All that stuff from Michael Keaton's era. I'm really excited to see that back on screen, and hopefully it's not relegated to a post-credit scene where he's like, it has to do something with that Flash. I just know it. No, but yeah. So we had that video here in there, and if you have any thoughts on the Flash, let us know. On the flip side, there's one more Flash. The series is still going, Mike. There's one more season left. We are in season 9, the final season, and it will see the return of Stephen Amell as the Green Arrow for this. And Amell was like, how? It doesn't matter. Why? It doesn't matter. It's just a good time. He really... Has he been in anything other than that wrestling show since?
I don't know. I haven't really been keeping up with Amell, but
yeah.
The Flash or a lot of these CW shows, once they get kind of like to the 4th or 5th season, it's very much whose line it is anyway, where everything's made up and the points don't matter anymore. Especially in the universe that they created over at the CW, where there's universe, world jumping, time travel, loosey-goosey, very easy to slip in and out of those things. I have not watched The Flash in a while, but this definitely seems like something where I still won't watch it, but I will definitely go find a recap video on YouTube so I can feel like I watched them all.
Yeah, so this is a shortened season. It's not a full season. I believe they're trying to bring back like all like the actors, like the greatest hit actors, like through this. Obviously, the fun fact is obviously Barry Allen, played by Grant Gustin, debuted in season 2 of The Arrow. So this is the fact that Amel's coming back as a character. I think he was in Crisis on Infinite Earths or whatever Crisis crossover they did, and then he was gone. So it's fun to kind of see some of these characters come back into this. So like I said, I might do a recap of this final season, but probably not the whole show because it's just someone running faster than him in a different color suit.
Yeah, it could be fun to maybe just watch like the very last episode. Right? Yeah. Just to kind of see how it all wraps up.
Yeah, exactly. Like hey, what references to the first season or 2 are thrown in here? So, yeah, very cool. We didn't talk about it, but what's that? The other show, Stargirl, wrapped up. Its run last month in December. Apparently on a pretty good note. It actually cleaned up all its storylines, so that was a plus. I would not be surprised if Supergirl shows up in here as well. The other spin-off show. But yeah. Anyway, lastly, this I've seen some behind-the-scenes footage pictures of this movie, Renfield, with Nic Cage playing Dracula, and we got our first trailer this week with Nicholas Hoult and Nic Cage. We have 2 Nicholases in here. It's gonna be crazy. Holt is known for playing Beast or Hank McCoy in the X-Men, Days of Future Past, First Class, so on and so forth. Nic Cage is a crazy man who does everything silly, and it looks to be a modern telling of Renfield, who is the familiar for Dracula, going out and getting him people to suck their blood, whatever he's going to be doing in this, and he's going to therapy because he wants out of this finally. And Nic Cage strolls in as Dracula at the end of it, and it's very Nicolas Cage fashion. I don't know what to make of this. Like, I don't know the lore of this character, Renfield or Dracula, but it looks fun.
It was a fun trailer. It definitely seems like something that's maybe greenlit off of the success of things like What We Do in the Shadows, and also the reemergence of Nicolas Cage out of his schlock film era, right? This was a fun trailer watch for me. Because this is just something that I just normally, when I see a movie trailer, when I'm scrolling through something like TikTok, I'll scroll past it just because if it's something I really want to watch, right, I'll watch it on my TV, right, on a big screen. But I was just like, okay, what's this Renfield movie? Okay, I like Nicholas Hoult. He's in a Hulu series called The Great that my wife really likes, where he plays like this very, very silly, like a Russian conqueror or something like that. So I was like, okay, I like Nicholas Hoult. You know, where's this going? Like, okay, this definitely seems to be vampire adjacent. You know, and then all of a sudden, the vampire shows up at the very end, and I was like, oh, okay, I wonder if they'll show his face. Wonder who it is. Like, oh, it's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
that's why people have been talking about this, because Nic Cage is Dracula, and he's like playing like a very like sinister, like creepy looking, like it's the whole, like, it's not just like the two front fangs, it's like a whole mouth grill.
It's a Nosferatu look. Like, it's really going back. It's not we're not getting Bram Stoker's Dracula where it's a Gary Oldman. This is the old Nosferatu style. Like.
Yeah, so that was a really fun reveal for me while, you know, I was on the toilet scrolling, I believe is where I saw this trailer. So yeah, this is fun. I'll give this a watch.
Yeah, and then it looks like I'm looking up here. Renfield is he's been in all the Dracula stories for forever, but apparently it looks like in this movie, if he eats an insect, he gets powers for a little bit. Like,
oh yeah, there was like a power adjacent thing to it. Yeah, I guess you have to have some sort of like advantage, right? If you're scooping up humans for food.
Yeah, so it looks wild, looks crazy. Again, over the top, silly Nicolas Cage stuff. I haven't seen anything since, what was it, Willy's Wonderland that he was in, 2021. So, I guess he was in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I didn't get to watch that. Did you watch that?
No, I've seen a little bit. I saw a little bit of it when I think somebody was watching it on a plane in a seat in front of me, but I was like, no, I kind of want to watch this movie at some point in time, so I tried to look.
Yeah, I want to, because that has the guy who's gonna be in the Last of Us show. It's a Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal in it as well. Yeah, I've got it on my home collection. So yeah, the other thing I would say before this is the last thing for a wrap show, because you mentioned it earlier and I didn't want to interrupt you, but I did see a post earlier that even every time you say Avatar in real life, you have to follow up by saying the movies, not The Last Airbender. Even though the movies made billions of dollars, The Last Airbender still owns the streets. And I thought of you, Mike. I'm like, that's what you want to do. You don't need the money when you own the streets, when you own everyone's mind. So I thought it was funny.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm of two worlds. I love both of these. I love both of these avatars.
There's room for everyone to live in and say Avatar. And like no one's
the Last Airbender fan accounts are celebrating because this calendar year, there will be new Avatar out in the world. I don't remember which one it was because there's so many projects swirling around. I think it might be the live action one that premieres.
They've not shown anything off of that in a while. So maybe but hopefully they get something out with that sooner than later for everybody. But yeah, so I figured I'd share that with you. All right, well, that's the show for this week, Mike. People know what you're doing, what you're up to. Where can they get you at?
Oh, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, see your fun adventures at CES this weekend, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN. As well, I had to put some stuff on Twitter. I saw you like my post, but like that's the only way to get free swag on the floor. They want to do these social media activations. I'm like, fine, you can have my Twitter account because Twitter's going down the drain anyway, so anything I post in here doesn't really matter. But most people know about the show, where they can go listen to our Avatar review because it didn't post online on YouTube, but we have it everywhere else. Where can they get all those good episode goodies?
Yeah, you can find everything that we do at superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our show and to get our awesome show notes. So if you want to see that kind of leaked DC fandom video, we got that in the notes. We got the first trailer for Renfield there in the show notes and our awesome upcoming release calendar. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to find podcasts. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you can get merch at superheroslate.com. store. We love hearing from you. Reach out, let us know what you're watching this year, what you're listening to, and if you want to be a super fan of the show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, folks.
That's right, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.